Hey, everybody, welcome to the podcast. This is Mike Miller, and this is the Strike Up the Band podcast. And I'm here today with James Wilson. James is a singer with the United States Army Field Band. It's called the Soldiers Chorus, which is a component of the field band, and they're on tour in the Southeast United States. And they're going to be near me in, I believe, about 10 days, and I'm looking forward to seeing them. So today we're going to talk a little bit about the field band, the history of the band, and what they do. And so, James, thanks very much for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Okay. Yeah, I think you got volunteered to be on this podcast when I emailed and said, "Hey, who can I get on the podcast?" And your name just sort of came up since you were sort of local to me, at
Yeah,
least
for
from.
sure.
Okay. So yeah, just tell us a little bit about yourself before we get too deep into the band and how you got started in music and ended up with the field band.
Yeah, yeah. So I grew up in Cary, North Carolina, right outside Raleigh, and I'm the youngest of six boys. So a pretty crazy upbringing, but my parents were really big on just having music in the home, and so always loved music and ended up taking choir in high school and just continued to love it, but didn't want to pursue it professionally. Always was kind of scared about that, just as far as the instability of the job of being a musician or being any sort of performer. So pursued other avenues. I got accepted to NC State actually to the aerospace program there
Huh?
because I just fascinated with space and
So you're an
kind
actual
of
rocket scientist.
yeah. I masquerade as a smart person, but I ended up doing music. Very different, but but kind of the circumstances of my life at that point just needed to get out of Raleigh, and ended up getting a random call from a small school in upstate South Carolina, Southern Wesleyan University, and they
Huh.
said, "Hey, we would uh, we would love to have you come. We have a scholarship for you." And my first thought was, I have never heard of this school, and they were never on my radar. So looked into them and auditioned for their music program, and luckily got accepted. It was my
I've got
first
a
ever music audition.
Yeah, a buddy of mine is the low brass teacher there at Southern Wesleyan. Um,
Okay,
yeah,
yeah, is
formerly
that
known as Artie
is Greg
Hacker.
is Greg Day still there?
Yeah, I think so. I think Greg teaches like trumpet and high brass. My buddy Artie teaches low brass.
Okay,
So small world.
yeah, or as they say in the upstate, small upstate. It's yeah, everyone kind of knows everyone up there. It's pretty wild. But yeah, I ended up going there, spent 3 years at Southern Wesleyan, then ended up transferring to Coastal Carolina down in Myrtle Beach. And all kind of through that time was like, okay, I'll get my degree in music, but I'm gonna pursue other ways of having a real job. So so I took all the prerequisites for physician's assistant school because I was like, well, space isn't going to work out. So medical stuff sounds pretty neat. And the more I did it, the more I just hated it. Like just got so caught up in yeah, just everything about it. I was just had a distaste in my mouth. Just like this is not what I want to do. And so when I moved to Myrtle Beach and my basically one of my first jobs was with Chick-fil-A, and my former boss had a unit at a freestanding unit down in Myrtle Beach. And so I was like, well, what if I pursue Chick-fil-A? Like I've always enjoyed working at Chick-fil-A, and I needed a degree to be an operator with Chick-fil-A. So I was like, okay, well, I just continue my music degree. And the more I worked at Chick-fil-A, the more I hated that. I was just like, this is not for me. And so it was like all of my backup plans that I had just kind of went away. So I was like, well, all I'm left with is music. And at the time, I'd recently gotten gotten married, and my wife was gracious enough. She kind of like sat me down and she was like, "Hey, you're good at music. You enjoy music. If you want to do this, if you want to go for it, I'm with you." And so it was, yeah, October of what that would be October of 2014 when we had that conversation. And from then on, I was like, okay, this is what I'm pursuing. There's that I think there's that story of like the burning of the ships when I can't remember who came to the Americas, but they burned the ships so that they didn't have a way to get back. And that's just kind of how I felt. The backup plans that I had were gone, and this was the way forward. So um and everything kind of fell in place from that point on as far as like pursuing music professionally. um Looking back, and was in my first opera at Coastal, and the teachers there were just really supportive, saying like, hey, if you really want to do this here, you're able to do that. Like we see that you can make it if you want to. And so yeah, I just really felt encouraged with that, and then ended up going to grad school. And yeah, just the story of that, with even going to grad school and then ended up going to Germany, and just all the family stuff like that. It's definitely a, a wild story that could take hours of me to
Well, you can give us
explain.
the Reader's Digest version if you want.
Yeah, yeah. So I had, with being a musician, especially musical theater and opera, what which was what I was planning to pursue. You don't really have the opportunity to have a strong community or a strong like family life. I mean, you'll see a lot of singers or musicians just in general. It's like, the kind of normal progression of their life is to have their career, and then later in life get married, have one or two kids. And that's just not the life that I wanted. And coming growing up with five older brothers and having a big family, like I loved that life. And and knew that I wanted to have kids early, and I wanted to get married early, and walk through these things with my family. And so we got married. I think I was 22 when I got married, and we had our first child, our daughter, uh, basically a year and a half after we got married, and when I was in undergrad. And when I eventually got to grad school, there was a baritone that came and sang. I went to University of Tennessee in Knoxville, and there was a baritone that came. His name was Craig Verm. He's a incredible baritone. He's very much in demand right now in the opera scene. And him and I kind of shared similar views about life, and he was gracious enough to sit down with me and just let me grill him with questions. And he said, right now I'm gone 10, 11 months out of the year singing roles. And I've missed, I think his daughter was 7 at the time. He said, I've missed 5 of her birthdays. And I said, man, how can I not, how can that not be my life? Like, I want to sing, but like, that is just not what I want to do. I don't want to be gone 11 months out of the year. And so we ended up moving to Germany because of the theater system over there. And I could get a job with one of the opera houses in Germany, and walk to work, and have a 2-year contract, and be home with my family. And so we moved there, and I was there for a little bit over a year, and just continued to kind of get jobs here and there, but wasn't able to land a fixed contract over there. And so we ended up coming back. And a colleague of mine that I went to grad school with at University of Tennessee, she had gotten a job with the field band. she reached out and said that there was an opening. And so I was like, this is a great opportunity to, be able to serve my country and to sing. I had never heard of military bands before that. And so to have the opportunity to use the skill set that I had and serve my country was attractive. And and so was fortunate to audition, and they offered me the job. And this was a time we had moved back to the States, and I was living with my parents, working. I'd went back to Chick-fil-A because I was like, I gotta work. Like I have to do something to make money, uh, as we're kind of in this transition time. And and so I was, master's degree, two kids, living with my parents, working the drive-through at Chick-fil-A, like not the prime point in my life. But was super excited about auditioning for the field band. And I don't know whether it was my talent or pity of me working at Chick-fil-A and living with my parents that they heard, but they offered me a job.
Well, Chick-fil-A, of all the fast food places, that's probably the best one. I mean, they seem to be really well run, and everybody's all happy and smiling when you go there.
Oh
So
yeah,
I guess it's
they
better
got
than
their act
Hardee's or
together for
something.
sure. Yeah,
So,
yeah, I love Chick-fil-A. We eat there so much, even still after working there for so long. But yeah, so got the job. And then right after basic training, COVID hit, which now looking back, it's wild to think that if I would have gotten the job that I wanted in Germany, if I would have gotten a fixed contract in Germany, then I would have been unemployed in a foreign country, family of four at the time, unable to get back to the States because of how everything shut down. And with everything shutting down for a year, like the field band just continued to make music. We continued to be steady in our production of music, and that moved more online. But yeah, I would have been unemployed. And so it's neat kind of looking back and looking at the journey and the path that we took, and the frustrations that we had, kind of seem trivial when you realize, man, if everything would have gone exactly as planned, it would have been a horrible outcome. And and so I've just been very fortunate to be able to have the job with the field band and all that offers, for sure.
so were you fully into the Army and through basic and everything and in the field band before COVID hit, or was that kind of in the middle of all that?
I was, yeah. So I shipped out
Okay.
the basic training on October 29th of 2019, and then got to the unit end of January of 2020.
Okay. So boy, that was
So
just right, just in time for it, wasn't it?
yeah, yeah. So I got to the unit, did all my in processing, and then the field band, we have 3 tours that we do, that are around 30 days each. And so we started our spring tour. It's spring, summer, and fall. So spring tour started the end of February. And so I was, scrambling to learn all this music, and and went on spring tour. And we were in Indianapolis when the governor the governor of yeah the governor called the colonel and said, hey, we got to cancel your concert tonight. And basically kind of started a chain reaction of all of the rest of our concerts being canceled. So yeah, it was like March 11th or something like that. And so yeah, it was a wild time. I'm right at the unit, this whirlwind. I get on my first tour, it gets canceled. It's like, what is going on? Just not a lot of predictability, for sure. But it was, yeah, it was neat being able to. I mean, we were in that like mission mindset, and so coming back from being on mission on tour, we hit the ground running with with making video products and, just doing these online concerts when it took, a few months for other organizations to kind of catch up and catch on to what needed to happen. So yeah, it was nice to kind of be at the tip of the spear for that with making music during COVID.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about I don't know how much you know. Uh, the field band's one of the Army premier bands. Tell us a little bit about your mission and how the field band differs from the Army band down at Fort Myer.
Yeah. Yeah. So both the Army band and the Army field band, yeah, we're in the Washington DC area, but they kind of specialize in the ceremonial things with the White House and around the Capital region. And our mission is to connect America to their Army and to be the musical ambassadors of the Army. And so we will travel nearly 100 days out of the year doing free concerts around the country and honoring soldiers and veterans. And so our mission is very much for the people and for yeah, just the people of the United States. And so we'll do a lot wider variety of music. And like right now we have two shows. One is called a Heroes is one show, and then Music of Stage and Screen is what the other show is, just kind of highlighting the the culture of music that we have and how that inspires us as Americans. And so like with our Music of Stage and Screen show, we're singing songs from the opera Carmen, and we're doing songs from the movie Encanto, and so kind of everything in between that as well. So it's a wide variety of music, but ours is definitely, our mission is definitely to connect, to be able to connect America to its Army. And we just celebrated our 75th anniversary of the establishment of the field band. And so yeah, we're excited about what's happening and excited about what's to come for sure.
And you're on tour right now, right? I think according to the website, you're in Florida today.
We are, yeah. We started in Jacksonville. We'll kind of do a U around Florida. So we went down to Miami, and now we're in Tampa, and we'll head over to Orlando, and then we'll go north. And so yeah, we'll come because you're near. We'll do a concert in Duncan, South Carolina.
Yeah, that's
in a few weeks.
About 15, 20 miles from me. So I've got tickets for that one. Hope I can make it. That's a good thing about those yeah, those tickets, they don't cost anything. So you get 4 tickets, and if you can't make the concert, you don't lose anything.
Yeah.
But hopefully I will make it.
Yeah, it's neat to be able to offer free concerts for sure. It's nice. I always joke with anyone who asks me, if they cost any money. I was like, you pay your taxes, so so it's free.
Yeah.
You have already supported the military.
So how long is your current tour? How long do you guys stay out?
So it is 31 days. So we started on the 22nd of February and we'll end on the 24th of March.
Okay.
So yeah.
And I was looking at the schedule. It's like you have a concert just about every day during that time.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and it's kind of sprinkled in. We'll kind of have a day off called a maintenance day where we can do laundry and go grocery shopping and things like that. And then we'll have travel days where, like when we went from Miami to Tampa, we just traveled that whole day. And so there was no concert that day, but yeah, it's one after another after another.
So how many buses does this involve?
So we have 3 buses. We have 2 18-wheelers that holds all of our equipment, and then we have about I think we have 6 setup vans, like 12-seater vans that a lot of our crew ride into, because we're self-run, and so we don't hire any sort of outside help as far as like booking hotels or setting up our equipment or anything like that. And so there's a team that sets up our equipment before the concert, that's just volunteers from the field band. And then there are, people that book our hotels, and there are people that run our social media. And so everyone kind of, you have your primary duty of your instrument, and then you have a duty that is, maybe on some sort of team. Even with like physical fitness, we'll have a PT staff that I'm on. And so, yeah, you kind of have a few jobs within the field band as far as, your instrument and additional duties as well.
Okay. So, what goes into planning a tour? That's a lot of logistics and a lot of planning to put a tour like that together.
It is, yeah. And so we have a whole ops team that is their primary job. So they no longer have the primary job of performing music. And that team, they are incredible. I can't even fathom all the things that they have to plan, and just the transportation of all the equipment that we have. And yeah, it's wild. I don't think I can answer that question because
Okay.
my brain hasn't even gone there yet. So
Do you know where you're going on your other tours this year already? Has that been set?
yeah, so we have basically, there's a map of the United States that's in the field band building, and it's divided into sections. And so and I believe you can, those sections, like the southeast is number 6 and the northeast is number 5, and all of these things around the US. And so that's kind of divided into, if we're traveling three tours a year, these are the places in the US that we're going to hit. So I think we hit all of the regions every 3 years, I want to say. And so this year, our spring tour is southeast, and then during the summer we'll go up northeast, and we'll perform. I believe July 4th we're performing in Boston. And in the fall, I actually haven't even thought about that, because my wife and I were due, our 4th kid is due in September, so I will be missing that tour. And so I haven't put any energy towards towards fall tour, because I'll be missing it. So
Does the whole band go on tour, or is there some part that stays home other than?
so yeah, so there are a few kind of elements within the field band. So there's the soldiers chorus and the concert band, and we normally travel together. That's kind of the most common pairing. And then we have the jazz ambassadors, America's big band, the jazz ambassadors, and we have a country and bluegrass group called the Six String Soldiers. And then we also, the field band, this is a first ever by the Department of Defense. We just hired 2 rap and hip hop artists. And so those are kind of all of the elements of the soldiers chorus. So our tours kind of vary. The jazz ambassadors, they toured kind of closer in January into December, January. And so, yeah, it just kind of depends on when they
Yeah,
travel.
they were down this way 2 3, I guess it's pre-COVID. Seems like everything in life now is divided into pre-COVID and
Yeah,
post-COVID.
yeah.
But they played about a half hour from here. I saw them, and yeah, they put on a nice show too. It was cool. Like, they were wearing the old Army pink and green uniforms, like from World War II era, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah, the
So
Army's going back to the pinks and greens. And so or army greens is what they're calling it. So no longer pinks, I guess.
Okay.
But yeah, they're doing a whole uniform switch that I think by 2025, I think everybody needs to have them. I'm not sure of
I didn't know that.
the exact time. Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
So, but
Yeah.
we got to do the Christmas concert. We do a Christmas concert every year in Baltimore, and we got to work with the jazz ambassadors, and that was a lot of fun. Because yeah, the Soldiers Chorus doesn't normally work with them, so it was neat.
Okay. So you're on tour 3 months a year. What do you guys do the rest of the time?
Yeah, so it's a lot of rehearsals, a lot of so we still need to perform the physical fitness test, and so that'll happen kind of when we're home. And yeah, a lot of planning, a lot of social media. We'll do a lot of social media things as well while we're back home. Um, but yeah, it's definitely an intense job in the sense of time commitments, just regarding like when we're home. We'll rehearse from 9:30 to noon, and then our afternoon will be our secondary duties, and then we'll be able to go home. So I may, my week may look like I just have rehearsals in the morning. I may not have a lot of additional duties that I need to do, and so it'll be nice to get home early. But the pendulum swing on that is that we travel, and I'm gone for 3 months out of the year. And so, but yeah, being home, it's a lot more of having to do the PT test and things like that. So
Do they do concerts in the DC area sometimes, or?
yeah, we
Oh,
do. We had one. We have normally we'll have a chorus concert in January, and then we have one coming up in May, I believe. That's local. But yeah, it's interesting because our mission is to connect America to its army, and so it's like we don't do a lot of stuff around Fort Meade, but as far as like officially, but we'll do chamber concerts or kind of volunteer. Hey, does anyone want to do this concert that we have at this venue coming up? And so yeah, our focus is very much kind of outside of the Washington D.C. area or Baltimore area.
okay.
Yeah, definitely be that. Even so, with the Army band being there as well, like they support that area so well.
Yeah, there's no shortage of military music in the DC area. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
um, so, like you mentioned on your current tour, you've got two kind of standard shows. Are those the same every time you do them, or within those shows, do you vary which selections you're playing?
Yeah, we'll vary a little bit. So for each of the shows, so for instance, for each of the shows we have two soloists that will highlight. So this past show we have uh we have a gentleman doing a solo on the xylophone, and then we also have a soloist for the flute. And so we'll kind of alternate back and forth. And one of them grew up in Florida, and so being able to highlight that and just the connection that he has to Florida, we kind of switched that back and forth. And so, and even with, like, sometimes we'll have a guest conductor come, and so we'll change what we're doing based on what they would like to conduct. And so it's always kind of changing from night to night, but we kind of know what's expected and kind of have everything in the pocket to be able to perform kind of at a moment's notice. So yeah, but there's always a little bit of variance every show, and so that's
Okay.
exciting
Yeah, I would say it would
figure out.
make it more interesting instead of having to play the same concert 15 times in a row.
Yeah, for sure,
Uh,
for
how
sure.
okay? So in the hour and a half or however long concert, how much is the chorus involved? How many tunes are you guys singing on?
Yeah, so it depends. So the Heroes show is a lot more instrument heavy, where the stage and screen show is a lot of singing. That's the one that we're doing the songs from the opera Carmen and songs from Encanto. And so yeah, it really just varies on from show to show. I mean, one of our favorite parts about the concerts that we do is every concert, regardless of what music is played before, we'll do all of the armed forces songs, the armed forces salute. And so we'll have the veterans in the audience stand up when they hear their armed forces song played. And so that's always neat to be able to do that and honor them that way with the way that the field band knows best. And so yeah, we always do the armed forces songs. We
I,
always do the Stars and Stripes Forever.
I,
So
I think that must be an actual law or something that every military band has to do Armed Forces medley and Stars and Stripes
yeah,
Forever at every concert.
yeah,
Because I don't
yeah.
think I've seen a lot of military band concerts, and those two are always part of it. So,
Hey, you gotta have the classics for sure.
yeah, yeah. Even our little community band here in town, we play that every summer where we're doing those same two.
Yeah,
All right, so James, when we first started talking, you mentioned that you got into the band right as COVID was hitting, or just before that,
yeah.
and you guys did a lot of videos and so forth. What was the whole process of transitioning to that type of environment, and how did you guys manage to get through that?
Yeah. So we got back from our tour, and there was kind of a big question mark of, what are we going to do? And just decided to go virtual. And luckily at Fort Meade, the combat camera unit is there. And so they were gracious enough to let us have some of their soldiers from their unit to come and help us with running cameras and things like that. And so we started doing a concert a day. And and so so we started that probably a week after our concert. Our mission stopped, and so we got back, and a week after that is when we began our We Stand Ready series. And not only did we do concerts, we also felt like there needed to be kind of an educational aspect of our videos as well. And so we started a virtual music classroom, just to give teachers resources as they moved virtual. That was we just The commander kind of had the foresight of knowing that. And so we made those. And then even just being able to serve the community as well. Like, we were able to help the local, the grocery store on base, the commissary. We were able to help them to stock food, and just any kind of help that they needed. We were able to step in and support them. And when the COVID vaccine became mandatory for the military, we helped with the kind of the paperwork, the filling out vaccine cards and things with that for the medical staff there on base. And so yeah, it was neat to like I said before, have that primary duty of having your instrument to play, and also to have these secondary duties of, man, how can I help and support the local community, that we were in a position to do that, just because we were the Army, and we were able to help in any sort of crisis that was happening at that time. So that was really cool, just in that transitional period. And so we did that for a year and a half, 2 years, give or take. And and so yeah, it was very different from the job that I had initially signed up for, expecting to tour 3 months out of the year. And now I'm helping to make videos every day. So it was neat to have a unit that was united around that because we were just coming back from our mission. So
when was your first tour back after the whole COVID thing?
this would have been, oh man, maybe summer of last year. No,
Okay.
spring of last year. We flew out to San Diego and then bussed all the way to Texas and did concerts along the way in New Mexico and Arizona. Um, so yeah, that was our first full tour. We had done kind of a short performance time in New York the summer before that. But yeah, that was our first like full length tour was spring of last year.
All right. So James, I know you guys are playing for my local listeners in South Carolina. You guys are playing at Burns High School on, I believe it's March 19th. Is that correct? I should have looked
Oh
at
man,
that.
I have the schedule right here.
Yeah, it's
It's funny, when I go on tour, I feel like, I get on the bus when they tell me to get on the bus,
I
and I
understand.
get
Yeah.
off and I execute what is needed that day.
Okay. Yeah. I'm looking
Um,
at the website, March 19th at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and that's your stage and screen show. And I know you probably haven't been to Burns High School, but they have a really, really nice performing arts center there. They have Burns has one of the top probably 3 or 4 bands in the state, so they really put a lot
oh,
of
cool.
money into the arts in that district, and so they've got a real fine program out there. So I think
Yeah.
you'll enjoy playing there.
Yeah, I'm just excited to be back in the upstate for sure. I love that area. I love, Greenville and Clemson area. Yeah, just all around that
Yeah,
is
maybe
so near and dear to me.
hopefully you have some friends that can come to the show.
Yeah,
And
yeah, my first voice teacher, Dr. Don Campbell, he's coming up from Southern Wesleyan. And so yeah, I'm excited to have him come.
okay. All right. Well, James, thanks so much for taking time to be with me today. I know you guys are busy, and really appreciate your time and appreciate your service to the country, and look forward to seeing you guys here in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, yeah. As a former Chick-fil-A employee, I will say it's my pleasure. And thank you so much for having me.